it's a Sunday, so thank you for joining. Good evening to everyone. We'll, of course, give everyone a minute or two before I introduce our mentors. We've already met them once, but of course, we will get to know them once more in case we've forgotten that they have so much credentials behind them about why this session is very important for all of you all, right? We wait for 30 more seconds before I introduce them very quickly and hand it to them. So I'm going to pause the chat, and at any point of time, if the mentors need, I will open it. But for till then, we will pause. But for whoever does not know what session today is, let me just take you all through what it's going to look like. So today is about securing futures, mastering scholarships, and financing. We know that all of us are going to be going to college shortly, if not immediately, but in a few months or in a few years. We know that it can be very taxing on our family. This session is to kind of ease you all. So if you feel like it's important, I would say get a piece of paper and pen wherever you think, oh, this is what I need to write down, write it down. So you can take it out. Of course, you have recording of the session, but again, you can ask questions to our mentors at the end if we get time. Right. So let's get started. Let me introduce, of course, we've met our first speaker, Mr. Parikshit Dhanda, who we know is professionally trained from Harvard University. He is one of the leading life coaches, motivational speaker, and career coaches in the country. He has more than 20 years of experience where he has mentored students as well as teachers and corporate executives and principals, where he felt there was a shift here. There was a need in mindset. His insights about people, situation, and analysis of human nature make him one of the most sought after trainers in the educational forum. His students are well known founders, country heads, and senior executive rank professionals. And his insights on the education industry is what brings him to us today. Thank you so much for being here, Parikshit. Let me now introduce. Okay, I will just come back to you in a minute. Sorry for that. Let me introduce Prasanna, who is a senior manager at Mindler. She is an internationally certified coach with master's degree in mathematics and in management of information systems from India and the US. She has more than 10 years of teaching experience of math and Spanish in international schools in India and China. As a teacher and senior class advisor, she has spent a lot of time talking to students to understand what inspires, and motivates them. She is now putting these insights and experience to use as a career coach to help students make informed decisions about their future, which will help you all today. Let me next introduce Abhishek, who is a management graduate from University College London and also has summer credentials at LSE and HEC Paris. He's a dedicated mentor and coach when it comes to guiding his students to Ivy League and G5 institutes. He is a profile building expert. We've interacted with him before, and he also trains the students in their journey to make it the best universities. And at the same time, let me introduce your last mentor for today, Tulika, who is a senior manager career coach. She is a compassionate worker with experience in psychological career, overseas counseling, and teaching students both in Indian and Cambridge boards. She holds a master's degree in psychology and is a internationally certified career coach. A psychologist by profession, she has half a decade years of experience in guiding and mentoring students and has helped them attain their goals. Thank you so much for being here, Tulika. And now I will hand it to PD to take it over. I will come back much later.
Thank you, Mansi. And I'm happy to see Prasanna, Abhishek, and Tulika here with me. Dear students, today the team's going to share, as per the topic, scholarships. Whether you talk about scholarships or financial aid or whatever name we may use, dear students, many of us are privileged that our parents have the kind of money to support our education, and our parents are in a position to say, listen, we are here, and as long as we are here, we'll support your journey, whether it is undergrad and many a times post-graduation also. However, all of us may not be so entitled and privileged. And many of us go on to become great as far as education is concerned. And we have the best education, however, supported by financial support or scholarships. And it is also a kind of a tag or a pat on your back that scholarships don't come free. They come because of something that you've done in life. Now, it could be sports medals, it could be some achievement, academic achievements, it could be, some great work done in music, art, dance, or any other form. It could be that your parents are not in a position to support your education, so there are something called means cum merit scholarships. Scholarships come in variety of ways. All right. These are scholarships that could be given by the university itself, or they could be independent scholarships funded by corporates, other organizations, and so on. The team is here. And they'll take you through the nuances of scholarship, financial aid, and so on. However, my just one request, that whenever you look at your dream institutions, wherever, whether in India or abroad, scholarships many a times are well defined on their websites. So you could get to know. For example, a university may say, listen, we have something called academic scholarships. You achieved these many grades, and therefore you are entitled. When I say entitled, meaning you can apply to those scholarships. That doesn't mean because you're not going to be the only one who's applying. Okay, there could be many applications for the same scholarship. There are few scholarships where students get nominated by their own schools. All right. Of course, and that's why I'm not getting into the details, because you have the best panel to guide you on that. Then, so I was talking about websites. Do look at it, check whether this is, like, for example, Delhi University. Delhi University will have something called extracurriculars or sports quota. When we say sports quota, meaning this is not only just entry to phenomenal institutions, also scholarships. Scholarships, there is another thing. A lot of people say that private institutions don't have scholarships. They do have scholarships or financial aid. So that is one. Second, before I say bye-bye to you, I'm very happy, and maybe my team will talk about it, Mindler Scholarship, which started as an initiative in year 2020 and has grown leaps and bounds. That's where we are able to support. In the last couple of years, we were able to give about 3,000 scholarships each year, maybe to the tune of about 20-25 crores. And Mindler is also doing its bit, as far as furthering the cause of undergrad education. So there is a lot to talk about. How do we get it? How do we process it? What's the relevance? And how do they make a difference in your career journey or in your educational journey? Thank you so much for being with me, Mansi. I'll hand it over to the panel and they'll take it forward.
Thank you for that, Parikshit. I will, yes, hand it over to our team to take in and give more detail about what we've just discussed. Team, over to you. Tulika, would you like to share your screen? Okay.
Yes, sure. Thank you. Right. So very good evening, everyone. So as PD sir was talking about, today we'll be discussing about things called what are the different kinds of scholarships that you as students can make use of while applying, because when we all know that when we're talking about applying to colleges, finances is something that plays the most important role in seeing whether, if I'm planning to study in a particular college, whether I'm planning to be in a particular institute, how will I finance my education? And that's definitely a very important aspect when we are planning our higher education and when we are looking at the various prospects. So when we talk about the different kinds of aids that are available, all of us, Prasanna ma'am, Abhishek, and myself, we will be touching these with different kinds of opportunities that are available to you as students, which you can avail. So students, while we are walking you through the presentation, let's keep one thing particularly in mind, like All of these scholarships have a different will have different kinds of eligibility. There will be different kinds of things which maybe the organization, maybe the college that you're applying to, you are looking at. Maybe there is a particular criteria in terms of your from which background you are coming from. So these are some of the very basic things that you will have to keep in mind while we are talking about internships, while we are sharing our different kind of perspectives on the different areas that is there for you, available for you to touch upon. So when we talk about scholarships, the very first which I will be touching upon is the need-based scholarships and the financial assistance program. So when we talk about the need-based scholarships or the financial assistance program, let's understand in a very simple term, what does it mean, or what are need-based, or what are the financial assistance program. So when we talk about the need-based, as the name exactly suggests, it is a kind of a scholarship that is awarded to a particular student based on the financial need, meaning you could be coming from a particular financial background and maybe you don't have that sufficient fund which is required you to pursue your education in a particular institute. So this kind of scholarship is awarded to you so that you can continue with your education and go on and come out with a degree that you are looking forward to pursue. So when we talk about the need-based, the institute, the organization, the particular body which is giving you the scholarship, they definitely want to understand what is your financial background, and they also need to know that yes, you don't have that much of funds which will assist you in going forward and continuing your education, and hence they decide to give you this scholarship. So this is like as a reward which doesn't have to be paid back in any way. You will be awarded in order to continue your education. When we talk about the different kinds of financial assistance program, so the financial assistance programs are the different kinds of pathways which again different kinds of institutes, be it a government institute, be it a private institute, every one of them will have something to offer. But yes, there will be certain criteria that you need to be meeting in terms of eligibility criteria, in terms of other things. So if you go and fulfill all those criteria, which I will also be walking you through, and my colleagues Ma'am Prasanna and Abhishek will also do so, you will have the funds to go forward and continue your education. So when we talk about financial assistance program, there are different kinds of financial. So there could be in terms of grants. So grants are also like a kind of a reward or award that is given, which doesn't have to be paid back. Then there's something called work study opportunities. So in this, they are giving you an opportunity that while pursuing whichever course or program that you are enrolled for, you are allowed to work, which will help you funding the education or the program that you are going to study or that you have decided to pursue for yourself. So that's work study. And definitely you have something called loans. So yes, we all know there are various different kinds of institutes which give you loans as well in a lower interest rate. There are some organizations which even say that we will not charge any interest because we want to help the students to pursue higher education. But then again, as I said, there will be certain criteria that you need to meet in order to go for. So whenever we are looking at any need-based or a financial assistance programs, it's very important as students to have done the kind of research to know exactly whether I am eligible for that program or not. So that is basic. So when we talk about the eligibility criteria or documentation, this is one area where you have to pay a lot of attention and you have to keep a lot of things in mind while applying for a certain. So when I talk about the eligibility criteria, that's the basic requirement for you to qualify for that scholarship. So if whether I am talking about India or whether I'm talking about abroad, there are certain criteria, there are certain requirements that the organization, that the institute or the government with whom you are taking the scholarship for which you have applied to have asked for. So definitely, if I'm talking about India, they will ask you to be like your applicant should be an Indian and they're permanent resident of India. So your status have to be shown. They definitely will require your pass certificate from a recognized board. This passed with a minimum of 60, and why I have made it 90 as well, I mentioned there. Usually when we are talking about scholarships and you being eligible, usually the criteria is from 55 to a 60%. But there are some scholarships which are very particular for a particular program, in which the organization or the institute might say the student has to score above or at least a 90% in order to be eligible. And hence I have mentioned that 90% could be for some particular scholarships, and hence you need to keep in mind while you're doing your research. Then again, yes, you should be pursuing a full-time or a regular course. So yes, you should be enrolled with a college. The institute from where you're getting the scholarship, they should know that yes, you have already gotten acceptance, and hence now you require funds too. Your family income, this is a prerequisite, because when we talk about need-based, and as I touched upon, it looks at your financial background, it looks at your background, whether you have the ability to pay. So hence they need to know what is the financial band from which you're coming from. So hence that is something which is required. And then we are talking about residential status or reserved category. So these are like very specific, because as PD sir was also mentioning, there are particular scholarships for particular categories as well, particular caste as well. So again, if you're applying through that, you need to look into those areas. Similarly, and these kinds of eligibility criteria that I have mentioned I will not say is completely applicable to abroad as well, but yes, in some areas, definitely, specifically in passing the board, so attaining a certain percentage, everything is required. Financial income status, everything is required while you are applying abroad as well. Similarly, when we talk about the documentations, so yes, you definitely have to submit that you have cleared your class 12. So that is something which is very much important. Other than that, since it's a need-based, they will be asking for an income certificate. So what is an income certificate? Basically, that's a certificate that has to be submitted by your parents, which will include your ITR, your parents will have the ITR filing and everything. They will also ask for a bank statement. So basically they ask for that passbook statement, which your parents might be getting. Some can even ask for a cancelled check. So these are some of the official documentations they are required. If you're applying abroad, definitely a valid passport is something which they will be looking at. If I'm talking about you are applying for a scholarship in India, they will be looking at something called your Aadhaar or anything which gives them the residential proof, and definitely the photograph. Other than that, as I said, they need to see the admission letter. They need to see the acceptance letter that you have gotten, because that gives them the authenticity that yes, you have gotten admission and now you're not able to fund your education, and hence you have applied for the scholarship. Similarly, they would ask for the receipt or tuition fee, like what will be the cost of that complete program that you have enrolled for. And when we talk about the receipt of tuition fee, let's remember it will be different from each of the program. It's not like somebody is going for an engineering or somebody is going for management or a art program or a design program. It will be same. Absolutely not. It will be completely different based on the institute also you're applying, and hence that is something where you are applying for scholarship they will require. And why I have mentioned a minimum of TOEFL or IELTS score or additional certificates of proof, these are like very specific. So as I mentioned, there could be some very specific scholarships in which they say the student should be scoring this much in TOEFL or an IELTS in order to apply, even if it's a need-based. So when we talk about doing the research, these are some of the basic points that as students you need to take into consideration while you're applying for scholarships. Because when you actually sit for applying the scholarships, you don't want to miss on the important things, because deadlines are not like that stretchable, and if you miss the deadline you will be at loss, because then that will go out of your hands, and hence it's very important for us to keep that in mind. When I talk about some, this is not an exhaustive list that I am showing you in front of you. These are some of the very basic scholarships which are available in India. So when I talk about the National Scholarship Portal, that's a portal that is run by the Government of India. Any of you applying for any programs, any professional courses, you can go and apply that. That is something there. Similarly, when we talk about the Central Sector Scheme of Scholarship, this is something run by CBSE board. So students, all of CBSE board can apply for that. And again, all of the scholarships which are mentioned here precisely, they will ask for certain things, your pass certificate, your income proof and everything, and hence things you have to keep that in mind. Why, when I mentioned about the 90% thing, that some of them for some programs they will require. So if you can see here, the last one, the Nirankari Rajmata Scholarship Scheme. So this is one kind of scholarship scheme that other than giving for engineering, MBBS, NLUs and law, it also gives scholarships for anybody who has cleared the CPT examination to sit for the CA and also the CFA foundation examination. So if you go on to clear those and if you have scored a 90% in your class 12 board examination, this organization gives you scholarship to fund your further CA foundation examinations and the CFA. And hence, I mentioned it's very important as students for you to check the criteria while you're applying for these scholarships, because each one of them will have a different. Like when I talk about the HDFC, so HDFC is a bank, we all know it's so they started this program in order to help students pursue their higher goals, and they also provide students based on the kind of income or the backgrounds the student is coming. So the income background, economic background of your family plays a very important role while you're applying for the scholarships, and in what band you fall. Usually it will be from 1 to 3 or 3 to 8 lakhs. That will differ from organization to organization, and hence you will need to keep in mind where you are applying and whether you meet the eligibility criteria or not. Similarly, when I talk about the need-based scholarships abroad, there are some of the opportunities that are available. So when we talk about this first, Tata Cornell, so this is basically given by the Tata Trust for anybody who has got acceptance from the Cornell University. Tata Group will fund your education there. So that's there. When we talk about the institute-funded scholarships, so as Sir was also mentioning, in all the countries, be it US, UK, Canada, uh, anywhere you're talking about, there are various institutes which which are ready to give you financial assistance, which are ready to give you scholarships based on from what economic background you come from. And hence, when you are researching, when you are applying for a college, you should be doing this research as well. What is the eligibility criteria? Is there a particular award or a financial aid program which I can avail in order to, because each and every institute will have a different criteria to apply for that kind of scholarship and avail that scholarship. Hence, you need to do a thorough research while applying to a college, be it India, be it abroad, in order to know what kind of scholarship they are offering and whether you are eligible for it or not. Then you have like something called QS Impact undergraduate scholarship. So this is a kind of scholarship given to students who get admission in any of the QS ranking colleges. Again, the criteria will differ from the program you are going for. It will differ from the college you're getting admission on, and everything will have a different set of eligibilities that you need to fulfill in order to apply for. Similarly, if I talk about Netherlands and Japan, there are different kinds of. So specifically for Japan, there is this scholarship being given by the Ministry of Education and Technology and Culture and Science. Yes, they are giving this scholarship based on there is embassy recommendation, there is university specific recommendation on which you get this scholarship. Some colleges might have the criteria that you should be knowing the language as well. So again, we need to remember, if I'm applying to a certain country where the native language is other than English, I need to be proficient in that language in order to avail that, and hence it's there. Similarly, when we talk about any abroad, we can also go and check out in the Ministry of External Affairs. There are various different kinds of scholarships, and based on your eligibility and based on whether what the criteria they are asking for, if you match, you can definitely apply for that as well. Finally, the tips to secure a scholarship is definitely research extensively. That is something which is very much important. And as students, you have to take into consideration before you sit to apply for the scholarships. You have to check the eligibility criteria, whether you are meeting all the requirements. You have to prepare all the necessary documentations, as I mentioned, the bank statements, the ITR filing, everything has to be kept handy before that. Then always be honest while disclosing information. So even in terms of the income, even in terms of where you're coming from, you have to be honest, because you don't want that any fake information can lead for them to remove the scholarship for you. Why I mentioned like recommendations letters and interview, because as I said, there could be some very specific, particularly abroad, maybe they are taking an interview or maybe they are asking for a recommendation letter, and hence it is important. So students, please remember, need-based basically will depend upon your economic background, but there will be certain criteria in terms of your marks, whether it be from which background you're coming. These things are taken into consideration, and hence researching, putting the right kind of information, honest information in the application form will help you securing the most scholarship which is there. Now I'll hand over the stage to Prasanna ma'am, who will walk you through the merit-based scholarships and tell you more about what are the different kinds of other ways you can avail the scholarships. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Tulika. So basically, Tulika has given you a lot of information about need-based scholarship. So we are going to be talking about another kind of scholarship, which is merit-based. Now, the dictionary definition of merit is, of course, the quality of being particularly good or worthy, especially so as to deserve praise or reward, right? And so the merit-based scholarship is essentially also based on the similar concept. Next slide, please. So merit-based scholarships are financial awards which are given to students based on, they could be based on many things, okay? They could be based on academic achievements, they could be based on skills or talents, for example, sports, art, etc., or other criteria demonstrating exceptional performance in, say, leadership qualities, or those things at which you have excelled through school, or you've shown that you've gone out of your way to kind of engage with the community. There could be, different scholarships based on different factors that they're looking for. So what these scholarships want to do is they want to recognize and they want to reward outstanding students and give them the opportunity to work not just on academics, but also hone these particular skills for which they were given a scholarship. Okay. Next slide, please. So basically, there are many different kinds of merit-based scholarships, right? So, and we have to look into consider all of these factors when we are researching them. So, of course, merit-based, same applies to need-based scholarships also, right? They depend, first of all, on specific programs of study, because some of them are specifically for undergrad students, some of them are masters, some of them are PhD, some of them are maybe for research programs, etc., etc. Some of them are also very domain specific, could be for, they are like, this scholarship is only for engineering students, or this is only for finance students. There are also some that are very, issue specific, right? So there are some scholarships that are given, for example, if you're studying environmental issues only. I mean, your major has to be environmental issues, and the scholarships are only for that. They could be arts or sports scholarships. There are some which are from and to specific locations. So, for example, a scholarship that you get if you're an Indian student who wants to study in the UK, or you're an Indian student who wants to study in Japan, right? So you have to be from a specific country going to a specific country. Then there are some which are actually gender specific, meaning there are some specific scholarships which are specifically meant, say, for women or for, for men. There are some also which, even though they're merit, some of them are merit come need based, right? So, for example, they might say they'll give you a scholarship if you come in the, top 2% of the ranking, of the top 2% ranks in the JEE. But along with that, your income also has to be below a certain level. So those would be merit come need kind of scholarships. And the merit criteria depends on different scholarships. There could be, like I said, academic achievements, there could be leadership qualities, extracurricular involvement, or a combination of factors. So all the scholarships also differ in the amount of scholarship that is given, right? So for example, some of them might say it is a full ride, as in you get 100% off of your fee. Some would say we'll cover only books and supplies. Some say we'll give you everything, it's tuition plus fees, living expenses, everything. Some could be a full or partial scholarship. So, some could say that, the scholarship is for say 5 lakhs. Some of them could be like, it is whatever your tuition is, it is 100%, or it is 50% of your scholarship, or it's 10 years, 10% of your scholarship, something like that. Some could be one-off, as in it is literally, if you think of it, as a cash award, in the sense that they will say, we're giving you 5 lakhs, and that is, however you manage it, but that is the award. Whereas there are some that are renewable, right? In the sense that they say they will give you 5 lakhs every year for the next 4 years. And there is also, many of them have different kind of renewable criteria, in the sense that, because they're merit based, therefore, if it was given for academic merit, then you have to make sure that you get a certain GPA. If you get a sports scholarship, then you have to make sure that you played in this many games, that you've participated in whatever the specific activity for which you've been given the scholarship. So basically, when we are looking for scholarships, we need to make sure that we are aware of all these, and so we know what to look for. Next, please. So basically, we're talking about all of these scholarships. Who gives these scholarships, right? So essentially, they could be broadly thought of as 3 different categories. You have government scholarships, you have institutional scholarships. By institutional scholarships, I mean scholarships that are given by universities, by colleges and universities. And there are private organizations, NGOs, foundations, etc., that also give. So that's the third type of scholarships. So let's look at specific merit-based scholarships in India. So again, as Tulika had said, this is by no ways an exhaustive list at all. This is just an indicative list. I'm just, we're just telling you that these are the kind of scholarships that exist, right? And therefore, you know what kind of scholarships to look for. So these are just 2 examples of government scholarships. So one by the Department of Science and Technology, which is Inspire One, which is for students who are attracted to basically talent in science, right? So, and there's another one which is for girls to pursue technical education. So there are these, and there are some which are also, when we say government, could be state government, could be central government, right? So the first link there is, that is for central government. And I've just given you this example. The second one is specifically Karnataka government. If you're studying in Karnataka, there are some specific merit-based scholarships that you can apply for. And what are these scholarships? I mean, how do you get these scholarships, right? They could be based on the 12th grade marks. They could be based on the rank that you got in JEE or a NEET. It could be based on interview. They might ask you to write an essay. It could be based on, they have, some of them have specific scholarship exams that you have to write, or it could be a combination of all of these. So these are government scholarships, all right? The next one, we are looking at institutional scholarships. So for example, IITs, IIMs, NITs, all of them have scholarships based on the rank. For example, in their entrance exam, what rank did you get? Delhi University, JNU, IISc, all of these also have. And even MIT, you know, like basically what you have to do is you have to go and search for them. I think this is something that we have repeated many times. Go to the university website and look for them. So for example, I did a random search today for Manipal, right? So next slide, please, Tulika. So if you can see, this is not even the complete list, okay? I literally just typed Manipal merit-based scholarships, and this is what showed up. There are actually 20 or 25 of them. They do not fit on the screen, right? So make sure that whichever university that you're thinking of applying to, right, you go to the scholarship and financial aid page and see and which of these apply. As you can see, all of these are not going to apply to everybody, right? So researching is basically crucial. I mean, there is no way about it. Each university will typically have a scholarship or a financial aid form, financial aid page. If you can't find that, make sure that you write to the finance department and they'll be able to help you also. All right, the third kind of scholarship is private organizations, foundations, and corporate entities. So again, these are just some of the scholarships that are open for students. So these are for students studying in India. Some of them are basically like, you know, Reliance Foundation scholarships will give you a scholarship based on, you know, an interview or an exam, etc. The OP General one, engineering and management scholarship. So for example, this OP GEM scholarship, specifically you have to get into, they have a list of scholarships, a list of universities to which you have to get into. So I think they have IIT, they have IIM, they have NITs, etc. Only at the, so the scholarship will apply only if you get into those universities, right? So again, make sure that, you know, you go there, check what the eligibility criteria is, what the scholarship is for. Is it, you know, what are the restrictions on that scholarship? I mean, what are they looking for? Are they looking for, what kind of merit are they looking for? Who is it applicable to? What should you be studying? Is it for undergrad? Is it for postgrad? These are all the kind of different things that you can look for. So let's look at what kind of scholarships are for overseas. Again, we have university scholarships, of course. Even university merit scholarships could be, again, not at all an exhaustive list. This is just a very, very, very indicative list, okay? But I'm highlighting these three because you can see that merit-based scholarships are not just based only on academic achievement. Like the first one, the University of Toronto International Scholarship is for exceptional academic achievement. Then the second one is for basically anybody who's doing science, but it is only for science, right? It's only for a science. And the third one is for academic achievement, leadership qualities, and co-curricular activities. So if you played sports at, you know, a national level, or you showed exceptional leadership qualities, you've done a passion project, you've really created some kind of impact in the community around you, and shown great, you know, mentored others, or, you know, helped others kind of get into something which has really created impact in the community. That kind of thing is, for example, what the National University of Singapore scholarship is looking for, right? So this was just to say that merit-based scholarships from universities are not only based on academic merit, they could be based on other things also. We also have government scholarships for going overseas. Again, just a sample, you know, for studying EU, Australia, Switzerland, Japan. Again, we need to make sure that we need to see for what level of study these scholarships apply, right? Are they for undergrad? Are they for postgrad? Are they for PhD students, etc.? The next one is, again, private institute scholarship. See, these private institution scholarships for overseas study, there tend to be in a much larger number for postgraduate studies, right? If you're doing a master's degree or you're doing a PhD, etc. They tend to be more for those. But again, there are a few which also apply to undergrad students. So, you know, undergrad studies. So, you know, make sure that you're looking through those also. Next slide, please. So then of course there are athletic scholarships. There are, you know, if you've done sports at the district level, zonal level, district level, or at the national level, please make sure that you check out the university athletic scholarships. Or most universities in the US have some kind of university athletic scholarship. If they have a big sports team, you play that team, they're happy to take you. Then you would, like I said, need to maintain a minimum academic grade as well as play in a certain number of games, etc. There are also some which are for fine arts, performing arts, different kinds of art-specific scholarships also. Next, please. So basically, what are some of the, how do you actually look for these scholarships? The first one is to define your academic and career goals. What is the subject that I want to study, right? Am I applying for undergrad or postgraduate scholarships? And when you're looking at institutions, when you're looking at colleges, to make sure that you're not just looking at the general university level scholarships, but maybe even specific departments, like I mentioned, this, our department might have specific scholarships. You're deciding you want to study sustainability. Maybe the department that has those courses has their own specific kind of scholarship. So make sure not just at the institute level, but also the department level you're looking for scholarships. Check with the financial aid offices, explore government scholarships, private, non-private, non-profit, etc., etc. And make sure also that you're looking at the specific criteria, right? So if you think that you have done something exceptional, not just very commendable, not just in academics, but you in sports or in art, or you have some unique talent which you have had the opportunity over the past 3 or 4 years to kind of shine in that, I'm sure that there is, if you look hard enough, there's probably a scholarship for that, right? So explore scholarships that align with your unique strengths, right? And make sure that you are definitely, the eligibility criteria, right? And make sure that you apply for multiple scholarships, right? Unless some of them very specifically say that if you've applied for one, you cannot apply for the other, or if you've already got a scholarship, you can't apply for the other. So these are all things that you need to check. All right, Abhishek, over to you.
Done, Prasanna. Thank you so much. Now, I know Prasanna and Tulika very well cover a lot of aspects of scholarships. So before I get into this, I just want to elaborate on certain things. I know a lot of class 12 students who are here have already applied to universities. So be very, very careful that you might have already missed certain deadlines. So when I walk you through certain scholarships and when Prasanna and Tulika have done the same, they very clearly mention that some of them, the dates have already gone. For example, if I was looking at Lester B. Pearson, it's always recommended you apply it on the November 7th, and you have missed that deadline very clearly. And even if you get nominated now, you can't complete the application well in time. So just be mindful of that. Now, coming to specialized scholarships and alternative financing options, I just want to give you a couple of examples which are of this year in particular and the last academic cycle as well. A lot of universities also are looking for the best possible candidates, because sometimes I think initially Parikshit sir mentioned that a lot of times kids cannot support the education. The family is not able to, for whatever reason, or even if they can, it's still too expensive. And the thought comes in, is it worth the investment of going and studying at the leading schools? And that is why universities introduce specialized scholarships, which are not only about merit or any other needs. It's basically how do we find out other talents that students already have and leverage it. The easiest of them, of course, you've heard of sports scholarships. I personally got a lot of benefit. I wouldn't say I got a scholarship, but I did get a lot of advantage because of coming from an athletic sports background, which allowed me to get certain preference in universities. And this is what I see with so many students at Mindler as well. This year in particular, I would love to share, the student of ours who's already got into the US has gotten around $160,000, $180,000 scholarship for 4 years. That's almost 80% of entire cost, right? And this girl did not have the highest academic merit, but she has done phenomenal work in the subject she wants to study. Last year, combined total was 15 to 16 CR scholarship that Mindler students got at universities abroad. I'm not even counting the Indian scholarship. Those would be another 4 or 5 CR, right? From private universities or even Mindler Scholarship Hunt. So the idea is, when you look at specialized scholarships, try and understand that every country has a very different way of doing it. To give you a simple example, when we look at Singapore, they have a government bond they offer you. What that means is, let's say I apply to the top schools in Singapore, like National University of Singapore, Nanyang Technological University, which are the 2 most popular schools. When you get in, the government feels we really want these kids to come in and support, but you can't afford it. So you sign a government bond where government pays for your education, but it's a legal binding contract, which states that you have to stay back in the country. It has a particular list of things you have to meet. So in fact, my students go on to consult lawyers to make sure they sign the contract right and they're not promising or committing to something they don't want to do. So there are a lot of things that you have to keep in mind, but I want to just give you the easiest ones. and give you logic behind why specialized scholarships exist. One, of course, I've told you to retain the best students. Second is also from a point of view that, listen, in a particular school that, okay, I want to start a research faculty, I want to start a research department in the US, and our students have been coming in, but nobody wants to do research. So how can I get the best possible talent from around the world to come and do research? That is where they start grants, scholarships, awards, where students who have been looking at a particular domain but not willing to do research can be motivated or encouraged. But there can be other students who have always wanted to do research but never had an opportunity. So it makes everybody happy in the process, right? End of the day, like I joke about this all the time, that when a person like Sundar Pichai became successful by becoming the CEO of not only Google but its parent company Alphabet as well, where everybody was proud, Stanford, Wharton, where he went. But IIT Kharagpur took the biggest pride and privilege, saying, "Oh, our alumni is running one of the biggest companies in the world," right? But you have to also understand that Stanford, Wharton also benefited, and even IIT Kharagpur also benefits when a good alumni goes to that particular university and comes from there and achieves success. So universities a lot of times are tracking potential. One of my favorite examples is summer programs. So let's say MIT, Stanford run very competitive summer programs like the RSI, SUMAC, where students who come in and people are observing them. They're like, oh, this kid is brilliant. What can we do to encourage the kid to apply to the university? How can we encourage? So they automatically tell them, oh, listen, if you apply, we can consider you for a scholarship early. So you get the logic that it's also something that universities are trying to do. So in major cases, if not all, it's also universities trying to pull and attract the best candidates. And it can happen anywhere in the world because I need the right talent. No, how can I let that go? And if I am not getting it, clearly that person is going to some other university or rather another country. And how can we lose that talent? That is why you would see that Asian graduates are really popular and really well regarded. We might be wondering that our prime minister is traveling and signing contracts with US, UK, encouraging visas, but that's also because these countries need talent. They don't have any. Just earlier today, I was talking to a student about possibilities in Dubai. Even the universities are not the best, but they're offering a lot of scholarship. They are allowing Indian students to come in and stay back for a while because they know these people are talented. They can come up and take up the right jobs and create opportunities. So that's how this works. Now, beyond specialized scholarships, there are other ways of getting and arranging funding. Tulika, can you change the slide? Yes, thank you so much. So, of course, specialized scholarships, merit, I won't touch upon because Tulika and Prasanna have already done that. But other than that, subject specific. Now, I want to make a career in international relations. There's certain university, let's say, a Sciences Po in Paris, which is one of the best in the world, University of Geneva for that matter, which offers a lot of aid and scholarships to kids applying for very specific degrees at undergrad and postgrad levels. Let's say I want to work in geopolitics in the UN, I want to solve this problem, I'll give you a scholarship. You tell me you want to go work on so other than that, the point is, if I'm looking at a particular tech program, I want to work in astrophysics. NASA can collaborate with the university and offer me specialized scholarships. So number of options available, right? Just before I move ahead, I want to just understand if everybody is on the same page. Mansi, if you can open the chat. Students, can you tell me, any of you have a particular talent or skill that you're really proud of? Can you mention that skill? I'll give you an example of a scholarship accordingly. Just any particular talent or skill you're really proud of. All of you can mention in the chat box very quickly. Is the chat open?
No, Abhishek, I'm just facing a little bit
No
trouble to
worries.
switch on the
So, no worries. Whenever you can.
Yeah.
No worries at all. Perfect. Done. So why I ask this question, and whenever you can put in the chat box. So the idea is, let's say I come from, I'll give you an example. So I come from Rajasthan, and I'm a female student applying for tech programs anywhere in the world. The government, if they feel that the university you apply to is very good and really strong, to encourage women in STEM, Rajasthan government offers grant for the entire first year of education. I've had 5 or 6 students from Rajasthan in the last few years get this grant, and your first year education gets fully funded, which is a big thing. You're saving around 20-30 odd lakhs depending on where you're going, right? And this is a great encouragement. In fact, you can get it renewed based on your performance. So number of such opportunities are there. Demographic based scholarship. For example, if I come from a less fortunate background, I come from a particular country that's developing. So the universities that give scholarships to people coming from certain parts of the world where there's no development or it's way behind other developing countries. So to support and encourage, that's a big possibility. I want to work in a career in healthcare down the line. I'm very certain. So how can I encourage people to do that? By giving them career related scholarships. I want somebody to go build social ventures, work in sustainability, work in energy sources, renewable energy in particular, and I can give them dedicated scholarships. So in that case, you also need a lot of clarity. When you're applying for these scholarships, they ask you a lot of questions. Certain universities will take interviews as well, because please understand, they have limited resources which they have to deploy and get the best possible talent. It's like a company hiring for particular roles, right? And there are very few which have great options. Oh, chat is open now, students. You can now mention all your talents and skills you want to. Art, music. Oh, art. But I want to speak about art. So there's this student of ours who went to NYU last year. She wanted to study psychology, but she was a brilliant artist. We made her apply to the art school at NYU, which is brilliant. And she also applied for a minor at Tisch School of Arts, so a combined major minor program. And believe you me, that I was so surprised that she did not get anything for psychology, which was a primary domain. But Tisch School said, because of her entire bid, if she considers a double major in psychology and art, we are happy to give her a 50% aid for that particular year. And that was brilliant. She, of course, did that. And that's a wonderful program. So because you have a particular talent, university encouraged her to apply, because they were like, oh, this kid is brilliant. So you have to also use your talent or skill. Performing arts, it can be sports, it can be anything whatsoever you can think about. Prasanna mentioned about leadership. That's very popular as well. So I am somebody who's been working with the community for the longest time. I've been doing volunteering, a lot of work as well. So all this can come together and help you in a big way. Can we move ahead, Tulika? Thank you so much. Yeah, advantages, I think I've covered most of them. Just to elaborate on one, of course, there's more access, more people can be considered for scholarships. That's always going to be an advantage. Diversity, if there are scholarships and aids available, that means more people from different countries, different backgrounds will be encouraged. That means at a university, if I have people from multiple countries, I, of course, have a better perspective. I think MIP is a great example. You come from different schools all around the country. That also gives you guys a different perspective, how people from different backgrounds, cultures react to certain things, work on certain things. What's your perspective on the table? And this, it's also preparing you for the real world where you can work with anybody and everybody and have a global career. Beyond scholarships, there are other resources as well. Tulika, can you move to the next slide? The last one, I think. Yeah, yes. Crowdfunding platforms are not yet popular in India because they are very regularized. So to give you an idea, a lot of students, last year I had this genius kid who gathered crowdfunding through different initiatives and raised around $10,000. Which is brilliant and super smart. He was from Bangalore and I was super impressed. So crowdfunding platforms, there are so many that are actually funded companies today that allow students to go and put across work and seek financial support, right? You can encourage people to do it. Crowdfunding is still not the most popular in India because of a number of reasons, but it's still an option if done right. Income share agreements, I don't want to talk about at length because it's a very complicated thing, but you can actually look it up. It's a very interesting thing. Students agree to pay a percentage of the future income in exchange. So Oxford does it. Oxford says they have a particular grant for certain students applying to certain programs in colleges where they say that, let's say you graduate, you can start paying back your fees after you start earning a certain amount, which is brilliant. That gives such a relief to students. And of course, if I'm going to Oxford, chances of me getting a high paying job sooner is there. So universities in a way investing on you and betting on you, right? Work study programs like co-ops are a given where you can work during your education timeline. So let's say you go to university, you take a break, go and do internships, you earn, you pay the fee, keep saving as well. So that's a very unique way where US, Canada are at the top, North America in particular. Employee tuition assistance, this is purely for postgrad, so I don't talk about this in particular. Tulika, can you move ahead? Benefits of alternate financing is also that you can have flexible repayments. So student loans, banks are so flexible today. They're like, oh, you can start paying back loans after a couple of years. Sometimes there's no interest, there's no mortgage or any collateral. So banks are realizing it's a good investment for them because the more and more students decide to go abroad in particular, even India, as fees is very expensive. So this is becoming a popular mode. Real world experience, I think it also allows you to get hands-on experience, contribute to both your education and professional development. What I mean by that is if you're working and paying back that through a co-op program or internship program or employer program, all these things work. In fact, one of the interesting programs I found in Europe, I'm not sure which university does it, but a couple of schools in Europe have ties with companies where the students might end up working. So let's say if I'm in a particular sector in communication and I want to work with a similar company, they might be willing to invest in that particular student's education to see that how well can they be trained, and they might hire them. So brilliant contracts are there and gives the safety that, oh, I will get hired. And of course, it reduces the debt burden. If you're taking loan, etc., you're not paying out in right away. And of course, the number of advantages either way. One disclaimer, please make sure you're going ahead and looking at all the options available, surveying them, make an Excel and be like, what are the benefits? What is the interest rate? Which is a easier plan for me? Can my family afford to pay a certain bit? Can I go and inquire what is the amount of time I can work so I can earn part-time wages? I always encourage it, because nothing better than working and paying off your debt and student loans, if at all. So these are a number of ways that can work. So one request, don't trust third-party websites as much. Always go and double check on universities and the company websites who are doing it. Mindler Scholarship Portal works very, very well. You have access to that, so you can go and look it up. If you need further support with applications for colleges and scholarships which are still left, you can, of course, go to the team. They'll help you enroll for the application process and whatever you may require. But information is either way available to you. So I hope this helps, and particularly for class 12s. Mansi, pass it back to you.
Yes, thank you. I will continue sharing my screen. Thank you, Tulika. I'll just take over so that I can quickly navigate. Thank you. I hope all of you all have gotten an opportunity to understand and, take into consideration what is it that our mentors were talking. And with that, I am very happy and proud to share and talk about the Mindler Scholarship and Talent Hunt. PD, of course, mentioned it at the beginning of the session. This is the second part of Mindler Navigate. All of y'all who are interns, and I think some of y'all who are here are not even interns, are now going to be able to pre-register for the Mindler Scholarship and Talent Hunt and complete majority of your process, and we'll only have one part left. So before I tell you more about it, let's quickly get into it. So what is the Mindler Scholarship and Talent Hunt? The whole program is a great opportunity where scholarships worth up to 25 crore rupees is being given to our students. More than 3,000 students, like Abhishek mentioned, has received scholarships from our partner universities in India and abroad. At the same time, this is something exciting for our top 10 performers, that Mindler is going to give top 10 performers 50% scholarships to any Indian universities if they are the top 10 performers. Other than this is an opportunity for you to interact, engage with universities, for you to understand which is your university, as in what is, I'm sure all of you all have a list of dream universities, but how do you find out that that is your best fit university, right? So we are going to have a week where you can interact with universities so you can understand and engage and see if that is the best fit universities. So what are going to be some very important key takeaways? Of course, the first one is that you have a chance to earn a scholarship from one of the leading universities, which are going to be our partner universities. Other than this, I think all of you all must have already done this, but if you haven't, you get a chance to get and do your career profiling using your scholarship assessment. There you kind of understand which is going to be your best fit careers. Basis that you can then plan ahead and see which universities would you like to apply to. Other than this, like I mentioned, you get to understand your best fit career paths, and you get insights based on your aptitude, your interest, your personality, and all of those things. The fourth point we just spoke about, where you can explore careers and courses and connect with universities to understand which one would be the best fit for you. Last year, we're very happy that we actually got the Iron Lady, which is Dr. Kiran Bedi, to launch the Talent Hunt because she believes in it immensely. She understands the importance of scholarships and how under-informed people are about it. This year, we want to take the process live much earlier, right? So there are 4 steps to the Mindler Scholarship and Talent Hunt, and they are very, very easy. Step 1 is registration, where you can register for the Mindler Scholarship and Talent Hunt. And you know what? All of y'all are a part of this internship, so y'all don't even have to do that. It's already been done as soon as you were a part of this internship program. That was an additional perk we'd like to give you. Other than this, I think majority of y'all would have already completed your profile. If you haven't, do so now whenever you have the time, because we know that you may have a weekend off or you may have some time. I would say go ahead and complete your profile. If you feel like there are some details in your profile that you haven't updated, now that you know the importance of it, I would say go ahead, take a look back and see if you can update your profile. Other than this, all of y'all have, of course, also been given access to the Mindler Scholarship Assessment. This is free. I'm going to come back to it in a minute, talk about it in more detail. That is also live. The thing that is the third step, which is the scholarship preferences, will go live in the last week of December, right? Where you can talk about your universities, talk about your preferences. And in the first week of Feb is when the results will be announced. By results, I mean it'll be announced which university has chosen, if they have chosen to give you a scholarship, right? So let's break down each of these steps. First one is complete your profile. I actually want to quickly open up chat and see how many of you all have completed the profile. Just give me a yes or a no. Very quickly. Sorry. Amazing. Okay. Lovely. I can see that a lot of you all have already completed it, which is great. Right. So let's get on with it. For people who haven't, trust me, it's not going to take a lot of time. You just have to give your name, email ID, give your education details. We need to know if you're an eligible student. So please remember to kind of go ahead and share your mark sheet with us as well, right? Other than this, in the next bit, of course, you already know about the certification, the leadership, the internship, the languages, the volunteering, and social work. Again, remember, this is going to help you give or create an edge for yourself for the universities, right? So remember that if, for example, at the start of the internship, you were like, no, I don't need to mention this, I would say go ahead and add everything that you haven't already. If you haven't done it, remember, take some time. It may take you half an hour, 15 minutes. You may already remember all your accomplishments. So go ahead and put them down onto it with as much detail as possible so that the universities can see the depth of your profile. Right, once you're done with your profile, the second step is your scholarship. Like I said, the scholarship has 6 dimensions where we test your leadership quotient, your personality, your aptitude, your emotional quotient, your interest, and your work style. You need to understand that even though marks aren't important to all universities, they do like to keep in consideration your personality, your aptitude, and more or less your assessment. So you need to also understand that when you apply or select a particular university, that university will also be able to access your assessment to see if you are a good fit for their university, right? So remember to take the assessment a little bit seriously as well, and not in a very casual way, because it might help you in your future. In your leadership quotient, you're based on 4 criteria. It kind of tells you, how is your teamwork, how is your empathy level, can you manage conflict, how is your decision making capability. Other than this, when it talks about your personality, you get to see how resilient you are, how extroverted you are, how is your locus of control, and how is your agreeableness. Now, like I said, you can't kind of trick the assessment. Be as honest as you are, because if you do try to trick it, your result may say something, but maybe what you were trying to achieve is not what will come along. In terms of your aptitude, of course, we are checking you on your logical reasoning, your numericals, mechanical, abstract, and verbal. I know that it's not their cup of tea, but it is important. Hence, we have to include this section in the assessment. Other than this, yes, we also check your emotional quotient to see if, let's say, for example, you're given a very taxing job. We need to see if you are able to say, if you're aware of your emotions, if you're able to control them, if you're going to be motivated to work through those. Other than this, yes, of course, we have so many interests, but what is our interest highest in? Because like we know, in today's day and age, everyone's interest keeps changing on a very daily basis. So again, this will help you identify which ones are high, which ones are medium, which ones are low. So let's say the low ones can kind of like go out of your even list of aspiration. Other than this, of course, your work style is just for us to understand which industry or which career will deem it best. Once you do figure out once you do finish your assessment, you get your best fit careers, right? So here you get to see that let's say these are the 5. When you go ahead, the third step for your scholarship and talent hunt is to select a domain, right? So these are domains that have been given to you. These are all the domains that are going to be optional. You can choose up to 5 domains that you would like to apply for, right? So let's say, for example, I got architecture, I got economics, I got law, I got liberal sciences, and I got music and dance. Let's say from those 5, I want to choose 3. So when you go ahead and fill your domain, your career domain, one has to be what is your highest preference. Let's say for me, it's economics. I will put economics as preference 1. Let's say I put architecture and interior design as number 2, and I put music and dance as number 3, and I don't consider the other 2. You have up to 5 domains that you can select. After you remember that when you're selecting domains is how the universities will be visible to you. Once you're done selecting your domain, you can give your country preferences. Would you like to continue studying in India? Would you like to study in another country? Basis that, you will be able to see a list of all the partner universities that are offering a course in that particular domain, right? So let's say, for example, in that slide, I had selected computer science and technology. I will be able to see a list of partners that have a course in computer science and technology, right? You can see. What's another cool thing about this is that you'll be able to see, you can go visit their website, you can see the programs that they are offering. You can also see if they're offering a scholarship, are they offering financial aid, what is the annual tuition. All of that is put together for all of y'all. What I would like to share is some of the partner universities from last year. We may have a few new ones, we may have few of the same ones as last year, but I would just like to tell you this year's partners won't be the same. But these are a few partners that we had from last year. We had Ahmedabad University, we had Flame, we had HTR, we had Sai, we had Vidyashilp, we had Jagran Lake City University is what we know as JLU, we had SRM, we had Manipal. We also had Tapmi, Amity, Amrita, ISM for people who are interested in sports. We also had Karnavati, SRM, but this is the Delhi one. We had World University of Design. We also had Vijay Bhumi. Some of our international ones were Hull. We had University of Tasmania. We had York, as well as University of South Australia, right? These were a few. So now let's say, for example, you selected your domain. Once you're done selecting your domain, you have to select universities that you would like to apply to for scholarships. Once you're done with that, let's say I have selected ABCD, but then I have to give preference. Let's say C is my number one preference. Let's say B is my number two, D is my number three, and A is my number four. You have to kind of put it together. If you match the university's criteria, if they like your profile, then they'll avail a scholarship to you. But remember, your preferences are very important. They're a very big factor about you receiving your scholarship. Remember, once you do submit your preferences, you won't be able to come back or go back and change the university order. So I would tell you that, let's say you already decided your order, I would say before you hit submit, to have a chat or discussion with your parents, because once you do get a scholarship, you only get scholarship from one university. So let's say you've applied to 10 universities, all 10 are not going to give you a scholarship. One of them will give you a scholarship, right? Remember, let's say, for example, you're doing this for kicks. There could be a student who's really missing out on this opportunity and really was in need of this opportunity. So be a little mindful of when you're being a part of this journey or when you're selecting your preferences, right? If you feel like, let's say you don't want to wait for the career week where you will get to interact with all the universities, let's say you want to speak to them specifically, there is also a screen where you can schedule a one-on-one call with particular universities, but on particular time slots, right? So you can go ahead and schedule your calls. We will get you in touch with the universities or someone from that team and get you in touch, right? So the process is really simple, right? Let me just quickly take you through the process, right? Like I said, first step, complete your profile. Majority of you all said it in the chat that it's really easy. Second one is to complete your assessment. Like I think I know majority of you all have already done it. If you haven't, you now still have time, because the university preferences open in the last week of December, right? So let's say you can keep researching, then whichever are our partner universities, you'll be able to have a better idea or more information about who you would like to apply to. And the last, of course, is your scholarship result, which will help, or which will take place in first week of Feb, where you come to know if you've received a scholarship, yes or no. If yes, how much is the amount and from which university, right? Other than this, we already know that you can go ahead and share this amazing scholarship and talent hunt with your friends. We already know that if we do go ahead and if we do climb the leaderboard, there are a lot of prizes up for grabs. Other than this, all of us will also get Amazon vouchers. But remember, this happens at the end of the entire Mindless Scholarship and Talent Hunt, right? Something that is great that I actually enjoy sharing are the success stories that we've had. So you can see 2 conditional offer letters. Of course, we couldn't put all the 3,000 plus offer letters that we have. So we've put into where one student from Amrita has received 75% scholarship for engineering and technology. And there is another student who has received 100% scholarship from Atria universities when it comes to life sciences. What all of you all need to remember is that all the scholarships you all receive are conditional. What this means is that only if you're able to crack through the admission process is when this scholarship is valid. So remember, this scholarship and talent hunt is going to help you reduce your financial burden, but the admission process is something you still have to do. Remember, just because you've done the scholarship and talent hunt does not guarantee that you will get admission into the university. That is something you still have to go ahead and do by yourself. So with that, I know that we've gone overboard. I will take 5 minutes because I would like to congratulate everyone in batch 1 for completing their Mindler internship program. I am so proud that you all were able to kind of do this for yourself and show up for every masterclass. And I hope this internship journey was a great experience, as a great learning curve for all of you all. Talking about your next steps, all of you all will be able to shortly download your internship completion letter. Remember, you finish all your process, which is your profile, only then will you be eligible to get a completion letter. Other than this, we already know that the Mindler Scholarship and Talent Hunt will unlock on the last week of December. Top performers will only be announced when all the batches are over, so that we will be able to see which students have performed the best, and those are the ones that will get letters of recommendation. Right. Other than this, Mindler Top 500 will be announced soon. After we announce top 500, we will be giving you all additional tasks, and then from that 20 under 20 will be selected. I hope all of you all remember what 20 under 20 was. Those benefits were great, where you get mentions in Mindler blog posts as well as a magazine. You get to interact with mentors, right? You get to also get a free career counseling session. So there's a lot that 20 under 20 can get from us. We identified top 100 bases, the leaderboard already. Bases that, we will give you all additional tasks and see who's performed really well. And after that, we announce our 20 under 20. Before we go, there is of course the first batch that gets their last leaderboard before the final, which will be of course in the end of beginning of Feb, that will be announced. But congratulations to Rebecca, Weber, Tasha, Pradeep and Bhavi for staying on the leaderboard for batch 1. What I would like to tell is that once all the batches are over, all the leaderboards would be combined. So let's say if you're first, you could go 10th because someone from another batch has more points than you. Remember to keep a track of where you are once all the batches get over, because those are the ones you would be competing with for your top 10 or your 20 under 20 prizes, or even your top 500, right? When we talk about best assignments, these are the assignments that have gotten the that are going to be the winners for the entrepreneurship award. So congratulations to Aya, Shiveen, Shreya, Ishika, Jessica, Sakshita, Vasupradha, Mimansha, Gola, Anaga, Nida, Bhanavi, Joanna, Sonakshi, Anand, Sonakshi, Kevalya and Cindy. All of your assignments are really well done. So congratulations. I think your entrepreneurship awards had some great ideas. So I would say keep at it. Maybe at some point of time you luck out and it'll work really well. Of course, to the leaderboard as well as the assignment winners, today being Sunday, I hope you all will understand that our team wasn't really working. You will get your vouchers by Tuesday max. When it comes to this class's assignment, there actually isn't an assignment, because we wanted this session to be more of a knowledge session instead of an applicable one. So this session is where we want you to go ahead, plan your academic future from a financial perspective, because it's not just important for you, but also for your family, right? If you haven't already, if you want, take the profile and your assessment as this masterclass's assignment if you haven't done it already. Next class for all the other batches is going to be discovering the colors of your personality. I'm very excited. I think batch 1 knows how exciting it was. For the other batches, I know it's going to be a lot of fun. With this, I will end today's session. I know we've gone overboard. Sorry for that. But I hope this session was great for all of you all. I will see you all next time. For people from batch 1, congratulations, best of luck. I hope this internship journey was a great one for all of you all. And maybe I'll interact with you all very soon if you all are part of the top 500. With that, I hope you all continue to have a great weekend. Thank you for removing time for today's session, and have a lovely day. Bye-bye.